So hello and welcome to my podcast, Learn Reiki and Connect. And it's with me, Tracy Matthews. So we are continuing the theme, Getting Answers from the Higher Self. This is part 2 of Hypnosis. But before that, a warm welcome to everybody, because this really is a space where we help each other connect to the light and with our higher self. And I've noticed that this part communicates with us. It really does get our attention. And, it's more than the thinking mind, because it's coming from that subtle, intuitive part. And I've realised that if we listen to this part of ourselves, it helps us out. And that's why this podcast is really here for all of us to tune in to our inner voice. And it's what I call living life from the inside out, listening to that part of us. So my journey has been about really listening and trusting that part, just seeing life through the lens of the soul, because this is how we do get our truth. Then we start remembering who we are and what we've come here to do, our path, our purpose. But you know what? A lot of people always ask this question, and that's, how do we access these answers from within? So I'm just going to jump right on in, because this week we're doing part 2 of getting answers from our higher self, and that's with hypnosis. Now, part 1, we looked at really accessing answers by using the tool of dowsing, or the pendulum. Now, how did you get on with that? Did it challenge your belief system a little bit? Were you comfortable with it? Did it make you feel a little bit uncomfortable? These are questions, and like I did, it kind of challenged my preconceived beliefs, because of what I was told, that this was from the occult, and demons, devil, and you shouldn't have anything to do with that. But I actually had to look at that for myself, and in context, it came at a part of my spiritual journey, and if you like, under the umbrella of just learning something really powerful, and that's connecting in with light force energy, Reiki, which led me to sort of, if you like, be brave and look at it and start using it with a different intention. So it's a tool. And for me, it's actually turned out one of the most effective ways of getting answers from the higher self. And of all the years, I'm still using it in my personal life. When I get stuck, when I don't feel right, I just get a sense that something's sort of keeping me sort of at a roadblock, I will use that tool and just sort of really map back and look at what's causing. And even with my work with the Akashic Records, I use the pendulum, and it's a very effective and accurate way of just helping people to understand who they are from soul level, and the amount of information that you can find in our, if you like, that energetic library. Well, that was a really turning point for me. It can also open up automatic writing, and or just really sort of open that channel where we become more intuitive, and we hear, see, feel, whatever way, where we can find more answers and more information that's coming from that part. And you know what? There's more. And that's what we're going to be looking at. What is hypnosis? And how can you use hypnosis to get the answers from the higher self? How Delores Cannon pioneered a way to get answers from that very part. So stick around. Don't go anywhere. Just stay with me. Hit that subscribe button and just join me every week as we do this together. So with hypnosis, before we sort of really get into what it is, I kind of wanted to share my experience of how I actually got into understanding hypnosis and really learning hypnosis. Because I guess before that, I didn't really think it had any part of my path or my journey. And I guess, like a lot of us do, we sort of see it from the stage hypnosis. And, well, that just turned me off. I didn't want anything to do with it. So when hypnosis came up for me on my path, there was a little bit of resistance. Now, every year, it's just something that I've always done on my journey, is that continual personal development, that CPD, which is, keeps us alive. And especially when you're working with so many of the general public and you're meeting people, I just think for me, it's really important just to keep myself alive. Learn new things rather than just sticking with one way. So I kind of like to broaden my horizon, I guess. So this came up for me in my personal continual development. Learning hypnotherapy came up. Now, when this came up, it was very much from my inner voice and from my spirit guides. And I had read books from people that did hypnotherapy. You might know this and know these names and learn for yourself, like Michael Newton, for example, with his Life Between Lives. And then Delores Cannon came a little bit later from that. But essentially, I guess for me and my journey, when hypnotherapy came up, I kind of didn't feel that I wanted to do it, if I'm totally honest, because I thought I was perhaps going down a little bit more of the Reiki route. So some of you out there might have heard the term Karuna Reiki, and I did that in 2013, and that was incredible. That sort of expanded my awareness and just really how this source energy, this divine white light, really how it can heal us. So I guess I was a little bit miffed when hypnotherapy came up and a little bit puzzled. Now, like I said, I was listening to Michael Newton, and then Delores Cannon came into my awareness. And if ever any of you out there have listened to her on YouTube or read her books, oh my goodness, incredible. Her convoluted universe and the 3 waves of volunteers, well, that blew my mind. That was incredible. Amazing. Some of the, all her books, if you're not aware of Delores Cannon, she has got them from her clients, from the information from the subconscious mind. So I'd have to say that both these authors really sort of stirred something within me. They kind of tripped something within me. But Delores Cannon did something unusual, which I think really resonated with me in her work, is that she found a way to speak with the higher self of the person. And again, if any of you have listened to her books, and especially with, and I say listen because I can digest books so much more quicker if I listen to them. And again, for you, it might be that you're better at reading them. But essentially, when the person's higher self comes through, it's got an energy to it. And boy, that energy resonated. It sort of kind of did something inside me. There was like a love there. And she referred to the subconscious. Well, she called it the subconscious because she said it wasn't the childlike part of the subconscious. This was something far deeper. She said she didn't know what to call it. And, it really is the higher self, but she had this term that she used as a collective, and she would refer to it as they and them. Now that really sort of struck a chord in me, this they and them and the collective, because she knew it wasn't coming from the part that, where we do habits, like for weight loss, or, when we are smoking, because that's the traditional when we learn hypnotherapy. And some of you out there might know that or be learning that. You sort of go into that part where the patterns are. But she was talking about something far deeper of the person. Now that collective that she was referring to, I had been working with the Akashic records, and I had already felt that collective. Now for me, that was the spirit guides. That was the inner and outer guides of a person, where there was so much, again, this love, this vibration, and masters and teachers. Because like I said, they hold a different vibration. Now the best way I can sort of refer to it as love, but it's divine love. It's the love from the deepest place. It's, I don't know, I would say it's more of a soul love. And it's the sort of kind of recognition, and when we're aware of it and we feel it and know it, it kind of almost puts a lump in our throat. So when she was referring to that part of the mind, I kind of felt that, but from a different way of accessing that. If you like, a different modality. But it was the same. And that stuck with me. That really sort of resonated with me. So I guess for me, what this was like it was a conscious acknowledgement that these same beings of divine love that were already, that I had felt and known from the Akashic records, and when I was connecting in with source energy through meditation. And I think that's really quite fascinating, because that's what I call the truth from all angles. It doesn't matter what modality, it's sort of, or what angle we look at it, it kind of brings us to the same. So that really resonated. To me, that's like putting a lot of pieces of the jigsaw puzzle together. But like I said, my higher self was sort of saying to me, well, learn hypnotherapy. But I was a bit slow in choosing a course, looking at the certification. I kind of did nothing with it. I was still a little bit like, kind of really didn't see really how I was going to sort of fit into that. So, and this brings us back to this point. Has that ever happened to you? There's a next part of your path, the next part of your journey. Or maybe there's something that part of you is saying, learn this or do that. And you get a little bit of resistance. Or maybe there's a bit of reluctance there. Can you resonate with that? Do you identify with that? Because I guess for me, this was exactly what was going on. So what happened next? Well, I found a course, but you know what? I did nothing. And I kind of sat with that nothingness. And sometimes that's what I do. And of course, what happened, we went into a new year, and that new year started off, everything was fine. And then there was rumblings of COVID. Now, in between that sort of was going on, I did look at a course. I got that down. I purchased it. And guess what? I kind of did nothing with it. I went into this procrastination of maybe, I still can't see why this even is part of my path, or what am I really going to gain from this? So I kind of did nothing with it. And again, have you found yourself in a similar situation where there's something, that part of you that intuitively is saying, do this. And we kind of don't listen. So what happened next is, for me, my health took an unexpected turn and I kind of went downhill a little bit. What was going on for me, there was a really sharp pain in the right side of my stomach, just under my rib cage. And by this time, we were sort of in lockdown. That was really sort of gaining momentum. Now, what I would normally do with any sort of physical pain or anything going on in my body, I would do like a healing. And any of you out there that know, when you do Reiki, you can use the intention to heal the body and actually look at what's causing the body to become unwell. So I used my intentions and they were strong, but nothing. You know, and I even contacted my doctors. They couldn't do anything. They had a lot on their plate with the pandemic. And so I was able to sort of get to a pharmacy and wait in the queue, and as we all remember back then. So I managed to get hold of some strong painkillers to sort of help me out. But essentially it was doing nothing. So as soon as the painkillers wore off, it's like it wasn't even going away. The painkillers took it down a notch, but then it was still just really bad. One of the worst pains that I've had in my stomach. And it was getting worse. It wasn't getting better. So I sort of was enduring this over the next few months. So I got to the stage where by this time I was in bed. And I still contacted the doctor, and again, we were now deep in lockdown. And I remember at the time I was listening to a lot of books, because like I said, Audible books for me are much better. I can digest them and actually get through. I don't know what happens if I pick a book up and I start reading. I literally fall into the deepest of sleep. So Audible kind of works for me. So I was looking through books, and if any of you out there kind of know how it works, you get your sort of like token each month, and I guess that's what happened. And I was already listening to Delores Cannon. I was really sort of gobbling up a lot of her work, listening to really just how powerful these hypnosis sessions, you know, pretty much a little bit like what Michael Newton was doing. The books are all based on case studies. So these were all coming from thousands of people that they had put into hypnosis, and individually what they were finding out. But anyway, I'm in pain, and by this stage I'm bedridden, and I wasn't feeling very well at all, and couldn't do anything with the pain. Not even healing was happening. And a book came in, and it was called Soul Speak, and this was from or written rather by Delores Cannon's daughter, Julia Cannon. So I thought, oh, okay, I know that name. And I thought, okay, I'll listen to what this has to say. So I bought it, and I had nothing else to do because everything literally came to a standstill. I'm in bed, I'm in pain, and I listened to the whole thing. So this information contained in Soul Speak is very much similar along the lines what Louise Hayes and what I had learned with Usui Reiki. That it's the principle that our mental and emotional state have a huge part to play in our physical body and in our health. But something else came out in that book, and I had not heard it before. And that was that the higher self, the soul, uses pain to get our attention. Now, when I heard that, I don't know, the penny dropped. Something shifted. It was that moment where the mouth drops open. And I just thought, a message? So anyway, I kind of made sure I listened to the entire book and then re-listened to it again because there was just so much information in it. But this thing stuck with me, a message. So I used my pendulum and I tuned in and asked my higher self, is this pain a message? And the pendulum indicated from my higher self, yes. So using the information from Soul Speak, the right side refers to the present life. Now the left side refers to either something in our past, like childhood, or in a past life. Well, I knew I ruled out past life because this was absolutely painful on my right side in my stomach. Then I was able, through a series of questions, to find out, well, in what life area. And if that sort of resonates with you, because I've put this all together, a series of questions, and that's found in the website under the free resources, where I put together a free guidebook kind of to help out with using the pendulum, because it really is knowing what to ask in order to find out this kind of information. So in what life area? Well, mine was my spiritual development. So I just thought to myself, well, do I need to know something? No. Do I need to do something? Yes. And this is how incredible this tool of using the pendulum is in getting answers from our higher self. Because you get the yes, no, and the maybe, but what the nuggets that come next is that intuitive thing that comes through. You either feel it, hear it, know it, smell it, taste it. It is really incredible how this works. And that was why I did that as part 1. And if you haven't heard that, do listen to it. So this is this little bit of intuition. And for me, there it was. I heard the word hypnosis. Do it. And I was like, really? What? There was almost like a level of like, this pain? This level of message and communication came just with this part of my path that I needed to do. And it was. And that's how I started my journey with hypnosis. And that's why I really wanted to share that with you, because that's loaded. There's so much going on in there. And I started my course sending my work to the assessor marking, and sending it back and moving through the stuff. And at this stage I wasn't able to do any case studies because that didn't come a little bit till later on. But the pain went away. And that reinforced that this was indeed a message that I needed to do something. I said it was part of my path. But of course, that's what we do sometimes. It was a little bit, I don't know, couldn't really sort of see how it sort of fitted in with me. So sometimes we're not fully conscious or tuned in to what the next part of our path is. And how it affected me physically was very, very interesting. I was really quite shocked. It was one of those moments of, no way. And if I didn't experience that and have all of that, I'm not sure if I would have realised just how powerful this communication is that comes through from the inner voice, the higher self, the soul, and how the different ways it gets our attention. So I'm just going to pause on there for you really listening to that. What's your sense on that? You know, I wouldn't be surprised if you thought, really? But this is a real experience that I had in terms of just coming into contact and my path going on learning about hypnosis. And what learning about hypnosis has done for me is broaden my awareness. Oh my goodness. I so realize why my higher self was really ready to understand and learn the power of hypnosis. And that really then brings us to our next, well, really the first question. What is hypnosis? Because there's still a lot of uncertainty around it. Do we go to sleep? Will we get lost? Will we never wake up? You know, do we go into such a deep place and then someone's got power? You know, there's just so much uncertainty. And I've got to be honest, I think that was there with me as well. A lot of us see the stage stuff and think, ugh, don't want anything to do with that. Actually, it's none of that. We're not in a deep sleep. We don't go somewhere where we are completely in sort of a non-waking abyss. Hypnosis is a waking state of awareness. And yes, you're awake. And the best way I can sort of put this on how I explain it to people is like daydream. It's like that bit before you go to sleep at night. It's almost like a focus state. Now, when you go to sleep at night, all of a sudden the noises just detach, drown out. Unless something bangs and wakes you up and jolts you, that's different. But essentially, we go into that state where we sort of drown out the noises. We detach from the environment and surroundings. And to put it in another way that might sort of help you, because it's good to sort of see it from different angles, is what's happening in the brain. The brain has got the left and the right. These are two hemispheres that we have. Now, the left is more analytical. It's where the conscious mind sits. Now, in hypnosis, we take a person through and to sit, really, if you like, on the right side of the brain, where the subconscious, deeper part of the mind and that frequency to hear, intuition, see the pictures. It's more of the subtle sides of us. So the hypnosis state is conducive in getting answers from the higher self because it bypasses that conscious analytical mind and takes us into a part of the mind where the memory is. And this is where, wow, this opened up another aspect of just, and this is what these kind of courses, when we do stuff like this, it opens up ourselves. Began to understand, wow, the mind, the deeper parts of our memory. You know, and this is what Delores Cannon was talking about when she was referring, because she was a past life regressionist. She wasn't a channeler. She was very clear on how she got this information and how she wrote her books. And those of you out there that have come across her, she's very emphatic about that. She got all her information from this collective, this subconscious, the higher self. So for me, that part of my awareness and what my inner self wanted me to know was to explore this, not only for myself, but to help others. So I trained in hypnotherapy, trained in the past life regression. And as much as I was working as a past life regression, because that part of the memory, I knew that this was incredible. I'd already, if you like, felt that. And this part from the Akashic Records, again, another modality. But I felt that, and not only did it for myself, but saw that when I took others through a past life. But I realised that my journey hadn't ended there. This is the reason why I then did my training with Delores Cannon's QHHT. Now, some of you, again, will be very familiar with that. That's the quantum healing hypnosis technique. Because I knew when I read and what I felt that the inner part of me was showing me how we can get these answers. What I felt was incredible about her is that she works in the deepest parts of, if you like, the hypnotic state, theta, the bit just before you go to sleep. It's that level of depth. And we keep a person there so they don't go to sleep. And this is not something that is, I'm powerful, can do that to a person. This is the frequencies and states we go in every day when we wake up and go to sleep at night. And if you've listened to a few of my podcasts now, I talk about these frequencies, these states. This is something that I had to realize and learn even more so for myself. And what I loved about the quantum healing hypnosis technique is that there is a therapeutic emphasis on healing the mind, the body, and all the whys. The spiritual path, that part of you when we go through something, we get to a point and we need to have answers. Well, why? Why did we go through that? Why did I experience that level of trauma? Why did I go through that hurt? Why did I have that experience? And I think for me, this was the part that my soul wanted to get involved with. To help a person get to that level of answers. And how the higher self does that during a session. Some people go to a past life. Some people go to something that's not here on our planet. It's been incredible. I'm not sure quite where it is, but it's in a different dimension, a different place. But the subconscious, that part of the highest self, holds that memory, takes from the Akashic record, brings that to the fore, let the person experience that so that they can understand why they are continuing with an experience, why that happened, who was involved. There have been so many times where a person has seen the person that they were involved with another space, another time, and they're right again back with that person. I mean, this stuff is incredible. You can't make this stuff up. You just can't. They say that it's from that imagination. Well, when you see people become quite emotional because it triggers something, there must be something for a person to get emotional and for them to cry during a session. That's different. That's real. Some other places that a person could go, they get up pure energy. They don't have a body. And they're just there. And they are experiencing themselves. And for me and my QHHT, that's what happened to me. I was just there. I was in a beautiful place of consciousness, seeing colours and seeing everything around me. And just feeling that warmth, because I knew that feeling, it was familiar. And then for me, I was able to unravel why I had one of the most toughest experiences and why that affected my mental health. Why? I was able to really get to really the cause of it. And this work is so incredible. And that's why Delores Cannon is very, very clear that this must be recorded. This is an audio recording. Because I've listened to mine about 6 times. Each time I've listened to it, I've had more clarity and more healing. And sometimes, and Delores talked about this, that sometimes there is miraculous healing, where you just instantly feel better. And for some, there's a process. Maybe there's something in their diet they've got to get right. They've got to go and do this, do that, in order for healing to take place. And that's not the role of the facilitator. You do that. Your higher self gives you that information. And that's why I knew I needed to do hypnosis, because this is really powerful. Something else that this session includes, and that's to ask the questions to get the answers, to go over certain parts of your life. That's priceless. That's not the format of conventional past life regression. I mean, there's all various sort of ways out there and some amazing people and some training, and I think you need to go to what resonates with you. But I kind of understand now why my inner self, my soul, wanted me to feel this firsthand with myself, but also to shine that light with others. To ask questions, get the answers. Now, something else that Delores Cannon made, and that's a comment that we make ourselves sick. Now, that statement might seem unusual, and listening to it now, you might need to sort of sit with that, because that puts a different onuses on sickness, because in our 3D physical world, sickness happens to us. But this was a shift, and this is something that's happening on our planet. This is something that Usui understood in his method. He knew, and again referring to Louise Hayes, that if there is something mentally and emotionally that's been unresolved, the last place it shows up is on our physical body. So when Delores was finding out from the subconscious, this collective, that we make ourselves sick, that really got to me. And it was quite interesting. That's why I shared my experience. Because until I had my experience, what was I doing at that time? Well, I was ignoring my higher self. I wasn't listening. There was nudges. That pain started gently. Started before lockdown. There's a little something going on in my stomach. And then that got worse. And then it developed. And then it got to a point where I could not ignore that. And then there was that part of my journey where I had to understand this is a message. And this is really incredible, really interesting, in how sometimes what we do is we, if you like, ignore intuition. We ignore what's emotionally and mentally going on for us. And that's why then we get into the physical discomfort. And like I said, I appreciate that some people might have to sit with that. But this is also something which I have noticed, and this is really getting to a point. The amount of clients that are coming to me more and more, and they intuitively know that even though they've got checked out medically, nothing is showing up. They're now ready to do something. And this is where I just know, with working in this space and this field, that when a person comes to me, they're ready to learn a very powerful method that's in our consciousness. That's to connect in, to get into that meditative state and heal ourselves, hear our higher self. Or maybe they're ready to do a QHHT session, a hypnosis session. That's coming from them. Or an Akashic record. They need to go and find out, well, you know what, who am I? What am I here? What are the patterns that are stopping me? How do I now evolve through? And you know what? That comes from inside. People are now realizing, and they're either at that point there is a mental health, real serious decline, or something's happened to them, or they've got a lot of physical health problems. And they know that this is almost like getting to what's causing it. So it's really powerful, hypnosis. It's a really incredible way to really get the answers from our higher self. And you know what? There's more. It doesn't stop there, and that's why I've done part 3. And that's all about self-hypnosis meditation. So please make sure you don't miss that. Don't miss that one. Because I really hope that some of you are really just helped by some of the stuff that we're talking about in this podcast. Because I really want to help those and to really continue to help myself look at what's causing it. And not looking to others, but really going back to something which consciously wise and who we are outside the physical body holds all the answers. And that's the soul. That's your inner voice. That's your higher self. Whatever you feel comfortable or you know that part as, that's the bit that gives you and me the answers. So please don't miss the next one. Part 3, self-hypnosis and meditation. Hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss it. So you can find me on YouTube, Spotify, and I'm listed on other platforms. And if you'd like to, please do visit the website at learnreikiandconnect.co.uk, because there you'll find a lot of tools. The home learning online Reiki courses level 1 and 2. It's packed full of really that method, that what I go through with people that come to me in person or whether they do it over Skype with me. It's really that content, that bones, that really help us to get this down so that we can meditate without the hit and miss. And you do it your way. I've also got there the QHHT sessions. You might want to sort of look at that. QHHT sessions are always done in person. There are other ones out there which is beyond the healing hypnosis session that might work for you, but Delores Cannon is traditionally in person. Many people travel for those ones because that is done in person. Or you might be just pulling towards the Akashic records and just the wealth of information. That is all, again, all done by Skype. That is something that you don't need to travel. And of course, if you haven't heard already, the part 1, which is all about the pendulum, you might want to looking into the art of dowsing, using that in a protective, safe way, and using that tool to get answers from your higher self. And I've also done an online workshop where I just go through that, or you'd like to download and get your free guidebook so that you can do that yourself. So I really hope that this has helped you, and just how powerful hypnosis really is. And these are frequencies that we're going into all the time. So I've really enjoyed speaking with you this week. So until next time, do take care and bye for now.